CEE Brown in your face.
Have you heard of Everything at Once?
Do you know about Everything at Once?
It's internationally known.
Aliens listen to it.
It's the best ever.
If there's something you're looking for in the 814, or feeling a little bored and think there ain't no more, check out Everything at Once and allow it to be your source. It's that raw podcast that's always showing support, highlighting the scene. No need to take I-90 to Peep or 79 to see how it be. Interviewing your locals with mindsets that are global. Innovators and creators on every single upload. So much going on in the EPA.
Incredible content.
Everything at Once will keep you up to date.
Amazing guests.
What you doing? Come through and hang with Tony and Dave.
Community driven.
Bringing everything at once from around the way. Everything at once from around the way. Hey.
Please listen. We love you. Everything at Once.
Everything at Once.
It's time to introduce this show.
The best show on the face of the planet.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in today. We want to thank our Patreon producers, Brian G., Josh W., Ian D., Nick G., and Sadie M.
Patreon, it's an awesome way to support the show and say thanks. You can become a Patreon supporter by clicking the link below and choosing to be an intern, assistant, or producer level supporter.
If being on the production team is too much pressure for you, you can also send any contributions using our Venmo at Everything at Once Studios. We now want to thank all the local businesses who supported this episode. These businesses get the Everything at Once stamp of approval and are critical members of the Everything at Once community. We couldn't do it without them. With winter approaching, are there any last-minute details that you want to change or renovate around your home?
I might, but you know who to call.
Yeah! Ghostbusters!
No, Tony. No, not Ghostbusters. Solid State Construction.
Oh, yeah. Solid State.
Yeah.
Duh. Solid State takes pride in all their home remodeling projects. Solid State specializes in bathroom remodeling, kitchen renovation, window and door installation, custom design work, and more, including painting, flooring, drywall, sidewalk, decks. Get your free quote today by calling Nick at 814-397-7854. Solid people, solid product, Solid State Construction.
You know, Tony, with all these renovations from Solid State, I think we might have kicked up some bad energy around here. Yeah, oh yeah. Luckily, we know just the people to go see.
I know it this time. It's Ghostbusters.
No, Tony! Our friends at Cauldron and Thorne.
Wow. I feel really dumb right now, and I can't believe I didn't think of Cauldron and Thorne, the world's largest witchcraft and metaphysical shop, with everything a person needs to channel the spirit world.
Practice some self-care.
Find enlightenment.
Curse your enemies.
Protect yourself from your enemies.
Bless your friends.
Cleanse your space from negative energies. You can check out all the magical wares available at for these different practices we all love and enjoy at Cauldron and Thorne, 2724 West 8th Street, or online at cauldronandthorne.com.
This week, we have an incredible guest for you.
Welcome, everybody, to another incredible episode. Today we got Bobby, owner of Basement Transmissions, down here in the studio with us to hang out, talk about his music that he's making on a solo project, talk a little bit about Basement Transmissions and Erie music scene, all that stuff. Welcome to the studio.
Dude, super excited to be here. Yeah, awesome. What a great little spot.
Thank you.
Yeah,
we're really excited to have you. So how long, I'm trying to think back how long I've been going to BT now, because before BT it was always Forward Hall for everything in the hangout, and then BT came along, and then Forward Hall came back a little bit, and now BT is like one of the only shows in town. It's BT in the road.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I feel honored that I am one of the only, but I'm sad to see some of those other spots not around anymore. Just
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's just as much a part of me as everyone else around here. I love those spots.
Yeah, so many memories at those places.
Oh yeah.
Especially Forward Hall, those were like my younger years, you know what I mean?
When
I was just getting started in the scene, going to crazy metal shows that were coming around, it was excellent.
Yeah.
And now BT is kind of, I feel like you're one of the places that gets like bigger acts still.
We try. it ebbs and flows, to be honest with you,
Dude, it really does, and
Yeah.
it's interesting to see how much it changes from, like, it seems like 3-year periods. You know what I mean? Like, we'll have 3 years of tons of people coming into town to BT, and we'll have periods where there's not so many people. And what do you think is going on there as far as, like, why that's happening? I'll adjust this a little bit for you.
I think that it's just a natural ebb and flow of any scene. It's like you have good leaders come into play, and then they set up things that work really well for a scene for a little while, and then maybe they move away, or maybe they get someone pregnant or get pregnant, or
Right, yeah.
maybe they get a drug habit, or you never know what kind of card is going to get pulled, and then things change around, or
Yeah. You got to find new people to fill those spots. And nothing is permanent, you know what I mean? Everybody's changing all the time, and what can happen one year may not be guaranteed to happen the next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I was gonna say it's just got to be like a challenge in and of itself to keep a place as like a hip spot over time too.
Yeah, it is challenging. It can be really challenging because, like you said, you just don't know what's around the corner. Plus, you got your own life things going on. Like, for me, I'm pushing 50 years old. I got an aging father, and so, things come up with my dad now that he's getting a lot older. Sometimes that comes in and mucks with my ability to spend more time at the venue. Plus, I got a day job and all of those kind of things too, and
Right.
and a couple kids and all of those kind of things. And if anything happens to one of them or something, it can cause for less attention for me to be able to give to the venue.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like at this point it's got some staying power. When things have been around as long as BT or some of these other places, it seems like the momentum is almost harder to stop than it is to keep going.
You would think that. I've had moments where I'm like, all right,
Time to close up shop.
I got to make some fucking moves right now.
Yeah.
Keep things moving forward because things are looking bad at the moment. You know what I mean? I've had that happen, I could say a handful of times throughout the course of it where I'm like, oh my God, something's got to change right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I feel that
Definitely,
too.
yeah.
I mean, we've only been around for a year, but there's definitely been like times where it's like, fuck. You know what I mean? It's just gotta, one thing's got to happen or another, and
There has to be bad times in order for there to be good times.
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we've been lucky too in having stuff going planned far enough into the future that like to stop it would almost be more work to like call these people and be like, oh, sorry, we're not doing it anymore. We'd have sponsors, all these people that we'd have to deal with or let down, and that makes it more difficult to give up.
And plus, we're as a working team pretty consistent. Like, we show up, we do what we got to do. It's not like pulling teeth trying to like
Remotely exciting to generate topics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
I think support is a key thing there, and like with the scene in general, and just like my business is very much like a scene-based business. It's like
sure.
Community is a critical element, and you kind of like you're building a team around you of people. You may not look at it that way, 'cause you're just looking at them as friends and coolies. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
But like those people, when you have your low moments, a lot of times those are the people that are picking up and helping pick up the slack when you do need to have a little extra slack, and then time comes for you to pull your weight and be the leader again and show people why you're the leader. You got to do that too. It's this balance, you know what I mean?
Right. It's definitely like spinning plates. Mm-hmm. And keeping everything moving, everything
at once.
Right. We keep adding that in here all the time. I think we say it more and more each episode.
Well, anytime that it comes up that we can use that line, we're gonna take advantage of it.
You got to.
Got that name recognition.
Yeah, you got to, man. That's building your brand.
Right. And I think that I never been like downstairs of Basement Transmissions till
Never?
like
Oh,
well,
just-
till
okay.
like recently, you know
Okay.
what I mean? Some friends of mine were playing and they're like, yeah, come down, help us set up, blah, blah, blah. And there's like a lot going on that is happening like beyond just like the shows and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's scenes within the scene. You
Right.
know what I mean? It's like little rings of things happening all over the place within that building, downstairs and upstairs. It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. You're filling up a lot of spaces down there, giving these people like a good place to practice that may not have one at
Yeah.
their, at home or that's readily available.
We always have a long list of people that are trying to get in there too. It's surprising how many people are looking for studio space, and we got 23 spaces down there, which seems like
Holy shit.
That's a
quite
lot.
a few.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, we're never empty ever, and when we are, it's only to like fix a wall or something when somebody moves out, and so we'll get like maybe a month layover on a room or something. But all in all, we have a waiting list of about 10 bands
Dang.
that are always interested in renting. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
It is, yeah.
It's cool to have like that space available too, because that I feel like any good business has to have more than one stream of revenue to stay active and to stay like afloat. You know what I mean? You can't like just be a music venue or just have shows or just have like one thing going on, because one thing imbalances it. You know what I mean? When
it
you
goes
put
back to support, man. It's like you're supporting other people. For me, at my business, supporting other people starting up their businesses, it's like generates support for me in the long run also, and it gives me the chance to like check out cool new stuff,
Yeah, for sure. It's right there at your fingertips, and probably gives you a good talent pool to draw from whenever you have a show and need to set a lineup. Do you do a lot of the booking, or does that usually get handed off?
Up until about 2 years ago, I was doing like almost all of this booking. It was like actually maybe a little even closer to like 4 years ago now that I was doing all the booking for the most part, except for like, I don't know, we had Alex Rillo around and a few other promoters that would come in and do small things, JC Nichols, and
Right.
some of the hardcore dudes would do their own things here and there. But all in all, it was me doing all of that stuff. And
That's a ton of work. That's like my least favorite part of this is like all the scheduling and shit.
yeah,
And
well, like that's what got me into it, is like a strong love for it.
yeah.
And then, but I mean, even before Basement Transmissions opened, I was doing promoting in that line of work, and it was just on a much smaller scale.
Right.
When you got the smaller scale, it's a lot easier to have that super strong passion and that super driving force, because it's not your like basically day job.
Right. Yeah.
Like over and over and over. And a couple of years ago, I was getting to that point, basically just before the pandemic. I was like, fuck, man, I'm worn out, dude. Like, this is like, man, I've heard so many promoters say that
Right.
over the years, but I never thought I would be the one saying that. But luckily for me, I own the venue at this point, so I have the opportunity to kind of like back down a little bit and just kind of like let some other people that wanted to do shows kind of step in, and I still keep my major events, things like Toxic Prom,
Right.
and things like that. I can keep doing the ones that I really still have the passion for, and still have the passion for it. So
Right.
I'm at the point where I'm trying to do like maybe 4 shows a year.
Yeah.
I say about 3 months is perfect timing for me as a promoter to like make money on a show, as opposed to like,
Throw something together in a
You
month
know,
and
yeah, you
Spam
work as
everything
hard
every
as
week.
fast as you can. You're totally stressed out over it,
Right.
and there's no time to figure it out. And if any details fail and some other thing happens and
Oh,
nobody
man.
comes, then it's like all that work for nothing. And so yeah,
so
I'm in a good spot.
only 4 shows a year. That leaves a lot of room for other people to do stuff too.
Oh yeah, and I push other people too. You know what I mean? Like the Mark of Fatality kids, I'm pushing them to do hardcore stuff, and like Do Not Call kids and Real Fake Door dudes.
Right.
Pushing pop punk, and always trying to explain how important the older bands like Mallory Run are to the younger bands coming up, and trying to explain why things matter, and
Right.
so that when they get there, it matters for them as well, and it's and it's better for everyone.
Right. It really does work a lot better when people come together on these types of things. You know what I mean? Especially as far as like promotion goes. That was like one of the things that we're very fortunate with and very blessed with on this podcast, is that we're based around audience sharing. You know what I mean? We bring people like you. We bring other people who have followings and stuff. We promote it. They promote it. We cross-pollinate each other a little bit.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what
gotta
I
be
mean?
really cool to just like get insight from people that are doing stuff. It's gotta be motivating.
It's absolutely huge. That's probably one of the biggest gifts we've gotten from this whole thing.
I'd say so, yeah.
Because like the monetarily, like we haven't made very much money, and we spent it all on a big palooza that we threw. So it's not like we're doing this for the money. It's really just for the insight and for the to spread that awareness and that, like, build that sense of community, hopefully, around here.
Basement transmissions is exactly the same. If you think I'm taking a paycheck on
Right,
basement
yeah, exactly,
you're
dude.
totally wrong. Every single cent goes back into the building.
Right.
It's like before the show started, we were talking a little bit. I was talking about, I'm not going to talk about numbers or anything, but, when I got the building, I got it for a pretty good deal. But when you get a good deal, there's a lot of work to be done. You know what I mean?
For
I'm
sure.
10 years into it, and we're just getting to the roof right now. New roof's getting put on, but we've had everything from plumbing problems and everything. It's like you just got to keep building, keep going forward.
You got you got new equipment too. You tore out like a bunch of chairs and built the bar and like all of these things. It's like a completely different space from what I remember. The only thing that I really remember from that's always been there is the like middle pathway of tile. Mm-hmm. That's like the only part that's really recognizable anymore. Everything else has changed. The walls, the chairs, the bar, the music booth, the stage, the lights, everything's all different now. And it's made a really big impact to give people that good space, I think, to perform on. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of people to thank, outside of just myself for like the input. I mean, it's all community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's coming in and it's a space that like people can leave their mark on, you know what I mean, and feel a part of something larger than themselves, which I think is something that people really desperately crave, and it's very hard to find a lot of times.
I think that's a huge part of like the real salt of the earth, like almost to a point underground, like it's not underground, but like a local music venue as compared to like, going to see shows at like a civic center or arena or a stadium or something like that. Like it feels like it's yours, like
I still try to give it as much of an underground feel as we can. I love that you can go to the show in the back room and it's got a totally
different vibe
than the main room. Mm-hmm. And it's like even the main room though still has what I feel like has like a local vibe to it,
right?
As opposed to going to some place like Stage AE where it feels. To me it fails. I really don't like that really like
big giant fucking area with 2,000-3,000 people all crammed into it,
and just even the more so like the look of the place has this like really like. It looks like it's well polished, whereas ours feels like it was spit polished by a bunch of
people that care about it.
Right? Exactly. You know what I mean? You can still smell their shitty saliva on the surface, and that kind of gives it a charm.
No, for sure.
Yeah,
It's definitely got that personal appeal to people that like a Stage AE or a Roxy Theater or any of these other new places that are around in Pittsburgh or Buffalo or whatever. I feel like Buffalo kind of still has it though with like Town Ballroom.
Yeah, I love Mr. Smalls too. I mean, I go to that venue and every single time I'm like, holy good God, this place is awesome.
Yeah, because it's big enough to have those bigger bands and pack a bunch of people in it, but it's still got that personality, you know what I mean?
Speaking of Mr. Smalls, and I had mentioned that just before the pandemic, a serious low point. Mm-hmm. One of the things that led to that was I almost purchased the Temple building down here downtown.
Oh, dude, I had my eye on that too. Me and like so many people were.
I had the papers and everything. It was like there was a signed date and everything, and it was basically I had gone through all the work to get through this building and do all the financing, which like anyone who's tried to buy anything,
it's a pain.
It's very complicated and it's a very long process. And anyways, I had basically this ultimate price going on it also, and it was like just before the sign date, somebody approached with a cash purchase.
Fuck.
And pulled it right out from under me, and that kind of felt like a good kick to the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like you were definitely more realistically going to buy that, but me and a bunch of friends were like, dude, we could all pull our money together. We have a huge space, fill it up with different people that need rooms and have shows and do, whatever the fuck we want with this giant building. It's just so big. It was like 13,000 square feet or something.
I don't even know if I could have pulled it off, what I mean? But like just the look of that, like that room, the main
theater, pulpit, chapel, or whatever the fuck it's called. Yeah,
that's so amazing. Going up on the back and going up into the the area up above from the back, looking down with the choir chamber or whatever up there, and I had it's just so sick. Like the architecture and
That's something that's definitely gotten popular within like the last decade and a half. Like you go to big city, most of the time it's like bars, but like almost every big city I've been in, like they take like churches or like old like religious buildings and just keep the structure architecture pretty much the same, but then add their thing to it, and it's something that just a lot of people have been getting into over the last handful of
goes
years.
to show that religion is also kind of like in a state where there's real estate for sale. You know what I mean? Like religion's in a weird state, and compared to when I was a young child,
Yeah.
it's like we're in a different spot. Like people are a lot more new agey now, and people are spiritual.
But they don't need a church to worship anymore.
More so than in the past. I can't speak for everybody, but just from what I can see in my experience, it seems like maybe it's slowing down a little bit.
And I think that people are finding their spirituality in different ways. It's interesting to think that like, hey, this was a place of God, a place of worship or whatever, and now they're getting turned into these music venues, which are their own kind of different worship community,
For
spirituality
sure.
experience,
Totally. I know, like as a creative myself, it's like that's where my connection a lot of times with spirituality is through the meditative process of creating,
Right.
Whether it be music or whether it be visual art.
Yeah, painting. I think that like listening to music and like singing along with your favorite song definitely has like its own big spiritual high. You know what I mean? Just being
Most
connected
definitely,
with
yeah.
that many people who are all like doing the same thing. Nobody's not paying attention, but like most people are all paying attention or active or present in that moment and like feeling that sense of together. It's really incredible.
Definitely agree. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. And I was just going to say, something along similar lines. Like, I hear more people talk about having these kind of visceral experiences, listening to music more than pretty much anything else.
Right.
Not even, definitely on the creating side. Like, we're both creators too. Like, we get that feeling. But, like, just like Tony was saying, like, music is just like that ultimate pathway to something higher than ourselves most of the time for quite a bit of people.
Yeah, I think so.
That's why at these fucking soulless dead day jobs, there's always a little bit of music going in the background, just enough,
To keep it alive.
just enough to keep you from going insane. You know what I mean?
No, for sure, dude. And I don't know what I would do if I wasn't allowed to listen to music or like put my headphones in at work. I'd probably quit my job. I'd find a different job if I wasn't allowed to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to find some way to get that little bit of enjoyment or pleasure in the small things, and taking advantage of like something that's easy, that's like slightly distracting but not distracting enough is really valuable, which is kind of like why I like podcasts. You know what I mean? Because it's like a background. You don't have to I don't have to give my 100% invested attention to listen to some people talk. I can just enjoy the conversation, take care of whatever it is that I actually should be doing, whether it's washing the dishes or typing something at work or whatever the situation may be.
It makes you feel like you're doing more than one thing it's like, yes, you're working, but you're also learning.
Exactly.
It's like learning is just, if you can do that at the same time you're doing something else, well, it feels like remotely like you're being productive, even if you're not.
Exactly. It just makes you feel better, and it makes you feel like you're using your time more valuably.
We're definitely in an age that definitely puts a premium on multitasking. So, like, it just lends to it, if you're doing multiple things at once and, listening to something informative, you're like, you get the gold star for the day,
Right. Yeah. I did my job learning and furthering myself or benefiting myself or whatever it is that people are looking for. So you just came out with a new album recently, huh?
I did, yeah. It's called Blunt Guts the Destroyer. It's, I think it's like some of my best songwriting ever by far, like especially on the lyrical end. I'm starting to feel a lot more comfortable with just getting my feelings out in that aspect of it. I've always been very comfortable with like writing beats and stuff, and been involved with electronic music since my teens, which
that must have changed a lot.
It's changed a lot. My first band around town here that was like a really big band that got any notoriety was called Pegasus Unicorn. And Pegasus Unicorn was really the first band that was like had an electronic element around town here.
Sure.
And, it felt really good to be like ahead of the curve on that, and felt like we were like, like treading new water.
Right. Trend setting.
But even still now, as I get further into like pedals and different equipment and new machines and all of that sort of stuff with writing, I still find that it's like cutting edge,
For sure. And the technology is just changing at such a rapid pace with that kind of stuff. It's
so
crazy.
awesome, dude. It's
yeah.
so awesome.
You were telling me about your setup and how you record everything like basically onto a mixer and don't really use a DAW at all to record your stuff.
Yeah, no, not at all. I typically I have like a drum machine or a groove box to write my drums. And I take a lot of samples. I love sampling. It's like my number one love. It's something I've been deeply involved with since I was young, so I really understand it well and know how to manipulate samples into loops and beats and stuff. So it's my art.
Yeah, it's very cool too to see like a more analog approach, because 9 times out of 10 when you see somebody that's making like electronic music or beats, they're like doing it all like solely based around a computer.
Yeah, definitely. I like it a lot because it allows, although I can write alone, it allows me the ability to like jam.
Sure.
In a way that's like kind of not the same with a computer.
Right. It's still, and that's one of the things that I really appreciate as far as like electronic music goes, is when it's actually performed by a band and not like mixed on a turntable or whatever,
or like created by an AI bot.
Yeah, any of that stuff, because I want to see people actually creating the music, you know what I mean? That's such a huge part of it for me personally,
Huge
rather
part,
than
yeah.
somebody like playing the music,
Yeah, for me it's the human element. It adds a human element to the mechanical element of
Sure.
electronic music, you know what I mean? And even now, though, the further we get into it, the more progressive we get with it, it's like bringing up the AI thing and stuff. You can get to the point where, like, realistically, you don't have to have any talent at all to be a creator. You know what I mean?
Well, especially with some of the like art or like the drawing ones and stuff like that, like Dolly and stuff it's ridiculous how easy it is to just type in a prompt of something similar that you want, or like inspired by so and so, and poof, you got a 4, 5, 6 instant.
Even three-dimensionally, like
Yeah.
I have a master's degree in jewelry and metalsmithing, which is it's a fine arts degree or whatever.
Cool.
But the further we get into the visual arts and stuff, now we have 3D printers, and it's like
All you do is download a plugin.
yeah, at a certain point, I think we're just going to get to the point where we realize that it's human expression is the most important part. We'll get to this part where the robots can do all of it, or AI can do all of it without us. And that's cool, because that'll push us further as a civilization. But for us, for homies in a circle looking at each other,
Right.
that human element is what keeps us connected. And, the AI, that's awesome and everything, but that's got to stay outside of the human circle of what's important to us as a species.
I think the way that art and music and writing will go, I might be wrong, but the way I see it in the near future, as AI gets things more perfected, I really truly believe that people are going to lean more towards stuff that have imperfections in them. Like when things are too polished and nice, like when it gets to the point when everything's so like static like that, there's always like the tendency to go against the grain, So right. I think imperfections will be the next, trend.
That's
in the
one
next
thing
decade.
that I've added. I started playing trumpet.
Oh, cool.
During the pandemic, and I'm 3 years into it now, and I'm a lot better than I was when I started. But right from the start, I've been trying to like use it in recordings, to give myself motivation to keep moving forward or whatever. But like, to me, being that I started with electronic music, and most people start with a guitar or something like that, but my disability has forced me into a different pathway than other people. So like I started with electronic music, and now I'm trying to like add that human element. And so this trumpet has been adding a lot of that for me, and it gives me like more of a grounded connection. You know what I mean? I use it more as like a spice for the top of whatever I've been writing, because I'm not like, I don't think I'm ever going to be,
A famous trumpet player?
Yes.
A jazz trumpet
or at
player?
least not in the sense where I'm going to be playing the Tijuana Brass or Herb Albert or anything. You're like,
Right. And I really appreciate your perspective of AI, like pushing people forward and creating more art. Because like, it reminds me of like, I don't know where I read this sometime in some college class I was taking about how the camera like was supposed to kill painting because were we going to have imperfections or anything? We were just going to capture an exact copy.
Right.
But what spawned out of it was like impressionism and expressionism and all the other really interesting paintings that we see out today. And people still do like photorealistic paintings and stuff like that too. It didn't kill anything.
We
it
love
just
that challenge as humans, you know what I mean? It's like, and it goes back to that being able to eye each other in the center of the circle and say, okay, these are our masters in society, the ones who have mastered their crafts and their skills, and they're important to us because they've taken to the limits of what we can do with our hands. It's like we can always use this AI as a tool to push ourselves further as a society.
Right.
But it's important that we always push ourselves to be the best us we can be, like, at our core.
Right, and I think like a huge part of that inspiration that you get from the arts isn't so much like, oh my God, this is a beautiful thing in front of me. It's, oh my God, another person made this. Like this is something that maybe I could do, or, somebody had the same feelings I had. You don't really get that from computers. You don't get that. I mean, I don't.
At least not yet.
Not yet. But
Not yet.
Soon.
Hopefully
No,
one day they do that, and we can see what it is that interests computers from their soul and their core, and they can find that for themselves, and we can admire it, like in a gallery the way we would,
right.
Whatever.
Like, this is our special AI, our art bot or whatever.
Yeah,
5,000.
maybe that AI will be trying to impress other AI and not even give a crap about us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you guys, your optimism is wonderful. I don't share it. I've seen Terminator way too many times to feel optimistic about how when AI feels good about itself,
And the doubts are definitely there. They're in the shadows for sure.
Yeah, and I think that it's also interesting that like back in the day when you thought of like AI and robots and computers taking our jobs, it wasn't the arts that we were concerned about them taking. You know what I mean? You imagine like, oh, he's gonna build cars, or oh, he's gonna
like a year ago.
Yeah, and now they're like writing.
Now that the AI is like doing its thing and showing people that it can create art. People are like, oh my God.
This was a complete left-hand turn from what we thought was gonna happen.
We thought they were just gonna take the truckers and the manufacturers and the those types of things, but no.
No, they're making art and drawing and creating music and writing stories and all that crazy stuff.
Sex spots, they got it all. What's next?
Right, yeah.
Robot dogs.
I mean, they had the robot dogs for a long time, but maybe now they'll actually make a good one.
Robot dogs with guns.
Dude, those are already out. I think those ones are hanging out. They're pretty good at that. That's so weird too that they like. I guess it's not that weird, but it's different to me that the first thing that they would do once they create these robots is like slap a gun on it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is perfect for killing people and halfway across the country that we'll never have to see, and our people will stay safe, which is great and good. But like, damn, we don't have like one person, like one creative person that was like an engineer that thought of something other than like using his shit as like a weapon of destruction.
Well, we probably do. It's just that guy that thought of the gun killed all the other people.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we've been through this before. It's called RoboCop.
Yeah.
The movies have all been made in the 80s.
Definitely. Yeah.
They already predicted this.
The ideas, at least.
Exactly.
So Christmas is coming up. You got Christmas songs.
Oh yeah, I've been Christmasing out all year. It's been a big thing for me because last year I had made a song called No Sleep Till Christmas, and I made a stop motion animation for it, and I had so much fun. It was basically like the stop motion animation aspect of it was like Santa chasing around Playboy bunnies that I had cut out, you know what I mean? So it was like Santa trying to get some nookie in the and it was just fun. So
Christmas has like a classic spoof motif too. Like I remember like listening to Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer, like way back as a child, and being like, this is the best thing on fucking planet Earth.
Definitely, yeah, I
Like,
remember
best
that.
song. Fuck Christmas song. This is the best song.
Yeah, I love that song.
What about the Jingle Bells with the Batman aspect? You know, the
Yeah,
Jingle Bells.
for sure. I got a
Batman
9-year-old.
smells.
I've been hearing it all week. You know what I mean? Actually, like, my 9-year-old's been playing baritone.
Mm-hmm.
She just started playing baritone, and so Jingle Bells is on our list. She's got a concert
Oh,
coming.
nice.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Very nice.
Cool. Well, you gave us a couple copies of these songs. You guys want to check them out real quick? At least one of them?
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm
Yeah, that
down.
sounds great.
All right, let me pull this up here. Oh, we gotta do this. And then do this.
It was the winter of 2023, and online shopping had long since put Santa and his workshop out of business. People were forgetting the true nature of Christmas. So Blunt Guts put his sampler and his sequencer down, and he headed to the North Pole. Man, I'm freezing out here. I sure wish I could find Santa. Christmas just isn't the same without him.
Excuse me, mister,
Who the...
but who is this Santa you speak of?
My goodness, an elf in the North Pole who doesn't know who Santa is? Nice to meet you, little guy. They call me Blunt Guts. Where did you come from?
I was just hanging out in that bush over there. Santa must be pretty important for you to come all the way up here looking for him.
Oh, he is. Or should I say he was? Well, I'm hoping he will be again. The thing is, Santa's really important because he used to make all the toys for all the boys and girls at Christmas time. Until the internet came along.
The internet? What the heck is that? I'd like to help if I could, but I'd like to know a little more about this Santa fella. Can you tell me his story?
Well, I suppose I can, but it's a sad one. It goes a little something like this.
Hell yeah. Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas.
Christmas.
So, where did the obsession with the Christmas songs come from?
I think the obsession came from my being poor and mostly hating and feeling terrible and miserable at Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, I'm like finally getting to the point where if I don't embrace it, then I'm just miserable the whole time. You know what I mean? I find it's not all that fun unless I get involved.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I remember those feelings too, like avoiding holidays back in the day. Like, oh, I have to work. Somebody has to work Thanksgiving. Like, I want that shift. Or
In a capitalist country, it's like if you don't have the means to give the way that people have given to you, it can feel like you're not valuable.
Yeah, for sure. Less than. Plus, seeing like everybody else get like all the fun stuff, and it can be really a difficult time of year for a lot of people.
Most definitely, yeah.
Especially when it's like it's like, oh, then you feel even worse too, because it's like you're supposed to be happy on Christmas, but like I'm still miserable and fucked up about this situation.
Oh man, I've hated so many Christmas, so that's really been the main reason where I'm like, fuck that. I am Santa Claus, man. You know what I mean? I'm like, in my deepest core, that's who I am. I'm the guy that gives the presents to the kids now. At this point, I got kids, and
yeah,
it's my job to be happy and to make them happy the way I was happy.
Right, and not pass on that same generational shitty Christmas feelings. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah. It also gives me a reason to hang out with friends.
Yeah.
Like not all the songs have guest musicians on them, but every opportunity that I've had to like throw a guest musician on some of the, I guess I should mention that I'm going to be trying to put out some of these songs. I was saying earlier, I got about 8 structures done. I still got about a month left to go, but I got about 4 or 5 of them done in demo form, and I got a few more that are just need a little bit, or need a friend to stop over and finish up a part, or like.
Right.
Yeah, I was aiming for 12 Days of Christmas, but
8's pretty good.
yeah, if we end up with even 5 solid tracks, I'll be very content with that. I mean,
right.
That's a lot of songs, really.
I think that's one of the fun things too about making music is that it's very much a team sport, so to speak, in a lot of cases. You know what I mean?
Potentially, yeah.
I mean, you can do it all by yourself, but it's definitely fun to get friends involved and to mix everybody's creation into one giant pot and see what comes out.
I love that. Yeah, it's also a really great way to like get to know somebody.
Oh yeah.
Like have them over and write a song with them. It's like, man, that's a really great way to spend time with a new friend. Or
right. We wrote one song and recorded it here in house and made a music video for it, and it was one of the funnest projects we've done for this, like Everything at Once Studios and stuff like that.
It was a good time.
Just writing the lyrics. We made it like a parody of What's My Wage Again, except we called it, or What's My Age Again? And it was What's My Wage Again, and it's just about being poor and broke, and it was such a good time to write those songs. It's fun, it's a funny song, and like it let us all just kind of make jokes and laugh at ourselves,
And then we got to make a music video that was equally as fun to go out and do and spend a Saturday just with people acting and just enjoying ourselves.
What do you guys play?
I don't play any instruments.
We wrote the song.
I recorded it.
He recorded it. We had Matt Craze and who else played?
Matt Craze played lead guitar and sang. I did a little bit of backup vocals. My buddy Brian Lori did bass for us, and another friend Eddie made the drum track for us.
So you basically just called up all your homies that did stuff, and you're like, we need you.
Hey, I'm like, look, I have all the gear and the know-how of how to do this, or at least not at first, but YouTube's such an incredible resource that I learned how to record everything. You know what I mean? Actually, our buddy Brian Glosky came out and showed us a bunch of stuff too. He's fucking awesome, great engineer, and he basically showed me the ropes a little bit, and then we did all the rest. He came and helped us shoot the video too. It was fun.
Videos are super fun too. It's like I wish that it's like with making art. Mm-hmm. Like you only get so much time to make it, and for me, it's like it's all about striking while the iron's hot.
If you lose momentum,
yeah. So like, if I'm in the mood and I feel like making a video and I nail it at that moment, boy, I sure enjoy playing with visual aspects of like tying music to a visual. It's so much fun.
Right. And like I never saw this whole thing like starting because at first the original plan was just to have a podcast.
Just a podcast.
You know what I mean? And now I'm doing photography, I'm doing videography for him, I'm doing photos for different bands and different people and all these events and concerts and whatnot. And it just really graduated. That's the kind of person I am, though. I'm like, I get fucking obsessed with shit. You know what I mean? All the different aspects of like making a podcast, the audio recording, the visual recording, all that stuff have just like ramped up over time, you know, and got to be bigger and better and all these things. And I never really saw it coming. I didn't see like me getting like a big professional mixer like I'm hopefully getting soon, and like a really expensive camera and lenses and all this shit. It was just like, oh, I could spend $500 on some microphones and a cheap fucking portable mixer interface. You know, this is no big deal. And
Such a better spend than spending it on like some
gambling at a poker table,
food thing. Buying expensive foods or wasting it on booze. I mean,
well, I love expensive foods, but I agree with you on the booze
too.
Yeah,
I'm saying,
right.
You don't want to spend all your money on that kind of stuff.
No, you need other outlets.
Yeah, you got to have that balance, and I think that having a good creative outlet, like it fuels every other part of your life. It can make all the other parts worth it. You know what I mean? It's like whenever I have times where I can't be creative, like specifically right now, I've been in a window of time where for about the last like 2.5, 3 months, I've been like so busy that I've only had like one afternoon a week where I have even the opportunity to do something, and I'm so tired from like everything that's going on. You have to like put absolute maximum strength into trying to create. I'm not afraid to fail, though. That's one thing is that I've realized drives good creativity is making bad stuff. Like you don't have to show people bad stuff,
right?
But if you stop moving forward, then you're not making any stuff. You know what I mean? And so keeping moving forward, even at the cost of making some things that are less than what you want, is more important.
Yeah. And the first one's always going to be bad, I feel like. And just accepting that.
And if it's not, take it as a fucking...
Yeah, dude, you did great. You're a fucking G.
Yep.
It's almost worse if the first one isn't bad, because then you think that you're like some kind of prodigy or something, and then if you make bad stuff, you're, oh, what's wrong with me, you know? And then the people that criticize when they do, it's like, well, at least I'm doing something.
Yeah.
You
Where's
know,
your fucking shit?
Where's
your podcast, asshole?
Right.
Exactly.
A lot of the
Yeah,
time,
it's true.
you rarely get people that criticize that do what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, like if they make music or they make videos or they make art or they make podcasts, whatever, they've had to go through the struggles and like the creative ebbs and flows too. So they're not criticizing you. It's the people that aren't doing anything. So whatever. Fuck them, you know.
Or the people that want what you have.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it all comes back to like having the willingness just to put yourself out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, on the welfare department's walls, so I'd have to go down there when I was younger, as a single dad, and spend many an afternoon trying to secure food and money. And they had a sign on the wall that says, "Every 1,000-mile journey begins with one step." And it's like, as stupid as it sounds, and as much as I hated going there and being stuck in those parameters,
Sure.
like that saying has constantly been a driving force in my life, and it truly has. I think of that often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always that first step too, and sometimes that's the hardest one. And I think with any new endeavor, there's going to be challenges, and there's going to be
Haters.
steps backwards, step forward, step diagonally, step sideways, whatever. And it's just like, you know, continuing to persevere and to make it through those obstacles. And
Yeah, once you look back and you see all those steps being made, you realize you're actually dancing. You know what I mean? It's
Right,
not just stepping to the sides. You know, it feels like those motions in the process are just steps. But when you look back at the whole picture, you realize that it is a big dance, kind of.
yeah, it's definitely like a choreography, you know, and making the right moves at the right time. There's a lot of young people that come to your venue, especially like young people getting up on stage. Like I remember the other night you were saying those guys from Big Blitz are still in high school.
After the show, I found out they're not. They're actually in college. They're 22 and 23 years old.
Oh, okay.
So they're about to graduate from college.
Still young kids, though.
Yeah, still very young. Yeah.
And you're giving a lot of these kids, I guess they're adults, young adults, an opportunity to perform on like a bigger stage for the first time. Maybe not the first time, maybe not them particularly, because I mean they're pretty big, they're pretty well known, they got pretty good following, they're making incredible music. But you put a lot of artists on a stage for the first time, I feel like.
Yeah. I don't know if so much as if I give them anything. I mean, I think these young people that take initiative and take those steps are earning
absolutely.
those shots. I'm not giving them really
Anything.
Yeah, I mean, I have the spot and I've tried to improve it to make it better for them.
Mm-hmm.
But like Basement Transmissions is a place for people who are trying to better themselves. You know what I mean? And it's not a spot for, that's just going to happen for you. You can't just think on it there and succeed or something like that.
You got to do it.
It's a spot where you have to be self-motivated.
Yeah. And it's just an incredible resource for this town. I want to see, like, right now, like, I feel like that branch of 11th Street has so much potential with, like, you and the Bunker and the Lavery and stuff like that. It would be.
Did you know Lavery was in Pegasus Unicorn?
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he was in my first major band from around town.
And now you guys are neighbors.
Now we're neighbors, and I love that. It's super cool. And we still chat all the time and trying to get Pegasus together this year for a reunion show, which is awesome. All in the talks right now, which is super exciting for me. And we have to fly someone in to make it happen.
Woo!
So it's like, it's not just like, we're doing this and doing it. We got to like plan it a little bit and everything. So we're in that process right now, which is really, really exciting.
Yeah. It's such a good little nook of Erie, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And hopefully we can take over a little more of that.
That's
get
what
a few
I'm
more
saying.
people in that area there. And man, if we could take over that whole
11th Street.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
From like where you guys are at to State Street would be.
That'd be sick.
Be so cool. And there's like even up on 12th Street, I see like that old Metro building and shit, and I'm like, oh, that fucking building's so goddamn big and empty.
What could happen in that spot?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Man, definitely.
And there's other places too, like the building like just next door to that on the opposite side by what's that fucking park? Griswold Park and stuff. There's like a number of different empty areas, and if that like whole like 4-block area could just, come up and be part of the resurgence of like our culture, because like State Street has its thing going on all up and down, and Rook's kind of out on an island, but that area is all coming up too, you know what I mean, up on Hippie Hill. And
on a smaller scale, you were saying earlier, you were talking about 3-year cycle, but I see like a 10 to 12 year cycle also on a larger front. Like from my time as a venue owner, it's like when I first stepped in as a venue owner, there was a lot of hostility around as far as like other venue owners and but what's kind of happened, and I think the pandemic had something to do with this, I'm not sure how or why, but it's kind of like eliminated a lot of that competition and gotten it to a point where like the venue owners that are still here are all cool with each other and work with each other, try to work with each other. Johnny, up at the Rook, or Mark Tannenbaum over at PACA. I love those guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, both awesome.
Craig at the Movie House, people like that. It's like Steve Trahosky at Art Lore that are like doing these other things. These people are like, they're awesome, man. I love it. And I feel like they feel that way about me too, and that makes it easier to do it.
Right.
I don't want to mention venues in the past, but there's some other venues that are around that were a little more like
standoffish.
Yeah, more like, like
don't eat at our table.
Yeah, we want to shut you down so we can thrive.
Right.
Where it's like it actually works a lot better if you try to help each other and build a bigger thing so people can go from place to place and not be stuck at one place only. It like fuels better places.
Right.
Yeah.
It raises the whole vibes of the community, I think, to have a bunch of people working together versus like having some sort of allegiance or like all for one type mentality, you know what I mean, instead of one for all.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
And I think that like there's just so much potential around that area, and like all of the different things that are going on, and people that are up and coming and want to put themselves out there.
Well, those are the people we're going to talk to and explain to them that, like, hey, man, you want to, and with Basement Transmission too, it's like if I would have focused on me alone as an artist and been like, oh, Bob Jensen's art is the best art.
Bob Jensen.
Like, you buy my stuff, no, fuck that dude over there.
Right.
My stuff is way better. Look at the craftsmanship, or like, you know.
Yeah. But that's not how you make friends either. When you tell somebody like, oh, you want my shit because their stuff is fucking garbage. That just makes you look like an asshole.
That's how you end up a lonely artist up in a studio wishing you had friends around doing,
Right.
you know, wishing you were writing songs with your homies and doing that kind of stuff. But no, you were too pretentious and self-righteous to
Right.
like care about what other people around you are doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's the community around Erie, I think, especially talking with like all the different business owners and different people that we've had on this show, it just seems like it's a very vibrant community right now, and nobody's really trying to separate. Everybody wants to come together instead.
I think there are definitely some people that are confused to think that it's like that it's not like happening, but those are the people that are like they just don't go out there and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just get out there and enjoy it a little bit. There's a lot going on right now.
Right. Support each other, you know what I mean? If you have an artistic venture, you know what I mean? Go out and see other people's art too, because like I think it's just really important to support each other, you know.
Definitely, yeah, I agree.
And to be a person that goes out, like we try to see like all the bands, we try to support all the people that come on this show and go to their different events and stuff that they're hosting, just because like they came and they did something for us, you know what I mean? They didn't have to take an hour of their time and drive over here and do all this other stuff for.
It's important you recognize that. Like for me also as a venue owner, it's like when people are playing my place, it's like I have to be very grateful because they are very giving of themselves to come get out there and do their thing or whatever. And it's important to recognize that from other people. And you find that once you do start recognizing that about other people, it's easier to feel good about yourself, you know?
Right.
Absolutely.
And push your own thing. Like, I'm sure your podcast is growing
Sure.
exponentially by getting the more people you get in there and the you know, supporting those people brings more support to you guys.
Exactly. It's all part of, I don't know. It's just that for so long, everybody's kind of been at their own tables, I feel like, through like capitalism and like all the other things and greed and whatnot. Everybody's been at their own separate table, and it finally seems like there's a change in business ideas to realize that like we're all at the same table and there's plenty for everybody to eat. And the more we work on this food, the more people are going to come eat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's bathe in it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Pour some of that cranberry sauce on my body. Let's get into it.
Yeah, exactly. Dig in. I'm gonna work real hard on this stuff, and you know my mashed potatoes are gonna complement your turkey.
That's right. Give me the turkey neck. See it on your plate. Let's share it.
Right? Yeah. Come on.
Split the wishbone.
You eat that end, I'll eat this end. Meet in the middle.
Right. And it will all be full, and we'll all be
we'll all
happy.
be full and happy.
And we'll get more people to come too. And they're gonna bring different things. They're gonna have the stuffing, or whatever it is that I feel like I'm not.
Stuffing is definitely one of the things. How about some pie, dude? How about
Yeah.
some fucking pumpkin pie?
It's
Come
happening.
on. Yeah.
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 'Tis the season. Let's see, you know.
Right.
Let's bring it together this year, Erie.
Absolutely. And let's continue to bring it together, because it's only going to get a better and more interesting place to be, and get more people here and people that want to stay here, because I feel like we lose so many going that are like, oh, fuck Erie, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going
You know what I think a lot of the problem is? Is they don't come to my art club.
Yeah.
We got an art club down at Basement Transmissions
Yeah.
on Wednesday nights. 6 to 8 is the art club, and then from 8 until 10 we have open mic. They kind of blur together in the middle, and it's a great place if you're a visual artist, if you're a musician, or you just are looking to be creative or looking to be social with other creative types of people. You know, we got theater
every Wednesday?
people every Wednesday. Yep, it's happening right now as this
Right now.
podcast is being recorded. Actually,
Don't be shy. Go check that out.
go check it
Yeah.
out. You know, it goes till 10 o'clock. I'm not sure what time you're
Yeah.
listening to this broadcast, but
Well, they'll listen to it whenever. It won't come out till we have a couple backstock, so it'll publish like in a week or two.
But it'll be on a Monday.
It'll be
So
Monday
when
morning.
you're-
in 2 days.
In 2 days.
In
Yeah.
2 days, I want you to get off your couch. All right? You can bring your phone because you've probably got stuff on there you want to show your friends.
Right.
You know what I mean? Show them your Instagram, show them all that art that you've been making, all that music you've been creating. Get down there. Maybe meet somebody. meet somebody beautiful to hang out with. You know,
Right.
could happen at Art Club. Basement Transmissions.
It's so good to see these kinds of mixers going on too, and to see the welcomeness of the art community, because like you're doing this. There's the Erie Arts and Culture mixer that they do that we went to that one time, and I'm sure there's other different
They're
classes.
awesome over there. I love them at Erie Arts and Culture. They're doing so much for the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Ann on, and she seems like a super cool lady. The new director.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And all of these different ways to, support your art, support yourself, and that kind of goal is not one that we should be shying away from, like I feel like people were encouraged to do in the past.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, you can't be an artist. You got to go work at the bank or wherever, you know what I mean? And now there's so many opportunities for people to find ways to build a business and make art and do something creative that we love in this.
You know what else I love that's going on in Erie right now with the scene is that's changed since basically the pandemic is the way local breweries have stepped in and taken such a critical role in so many of the events that are going on.
Right.
Like, I just think that's really great that we have like local people crafting beverages for those drinks and stuff now.
And we have a whole bunch of them too. It seemed like they popped up overnight.
Yeah, right. I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. I think it would be a lot cooler if you could go to the bar and really there was only one or two choices that were national and everything was just local bar that had, you could grab some Lavery, some Erie Ale Works, some Altered State.
Right.
That'd be sick.
Have our own little microcosm of Erie, and I feel like that's the direction our town is going into, is having that like very micro economy where you get your bread from a local baker, you get your beer from the local breweries, and your liquor from Altered State, and all of those different kinds of things to just allow our little.
That's where we want to be for sure.
That's where we want to be, because like I feel like if we support our own local businesses, it's just so much better for our community,
Yeah.
And that's how people really make choices, is with their dollars, you know what I mean? And who they want to support and who they don't want to support. And why do we want to give all of our money to these fucking awful corporations like Walmart and...
Convenience. They have us tricked.
And it's
all about convenience.
Convenience and accessibility and sometimes cheapness to the products. But you're right. I mean, younger people are definitely flocking towards the local stuff. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. You want to support the people around you.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if we could just drive some of the costs down on the local stuff too, so that it was like locals could still make money and it could be competitive, more so competitive. I think they're doing pretty good, honestly. I think comparatively for what they're fighting against, like local beers, paying $5 at a show for a beer, it's like, that's a kick to the balls.
Yeah.
But like to know that you're like giving it back to Erie and that it's going to be spent here, and probably a portion of that will end up back at Basement Transmissions in my pocket in some way or another, makes it like a fair exchange.
Absolutely. And like you're going to pay $5 at any venue for Bud Light or whatever you're drinking.
Yeah.
And at least the local brews don't taste like just someone pissed in a can,
Right. Yeah.
Not
to be
gonna
fair,
mention
if it was like only 1/5 of the price, I would drink the piss.
Yeah. Right. Sometimes that's what's on the table, and that's what we're drinking.
That's what we need to get, is like a really low end local brewer. That's
someone just needs to make super shitty beer.
Well, no, he's like
next to nothing.
They're like, you know what? We got this stuff that we spent months and years working to perfect. And now we got this shit that tastes like Milwaukee's best. Like, it's Milwaukee's best. We just made it ourselves.
We've done it, boys.
We did it.
Quarter draft night. We're bringing it back. It's local, but this is going to taste fucking awful.
Oh, man. Yeah, the breweries and all these different businesses are so great out there. If any of you guys are listening and want to sponsor the Treehouse series, we'd love that to happen, because...
or even the podcast,
or
if
the
you're
podcast.
feeling froggy.
We got to break into that market somehow.
Dig deep. Tis the season to support local, you guys.
That's right. Well, Bobby, this has been a really fun show. I've enjoyed it. Thanks for coming down and hanging out with us.
Totally awesome. You guys got a great spirit. I love talking to you. It was fun catching up, getting to know you boys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Go check out Bobby's art night on Wednesday at 6 o'clock.
Art club.
Yep.
Art club.
Art club. Yep.
Followed by open mic.
Yep.
It's going to be cool. Meet some interesting, fun people.
Check out my new album. Don't forget that. It's on Spotify right now. Blunt Cuts the Destroyer.
That's right.
Yep.
Go to a show, support local, see the bands around here. Erie has such a tremendous talent pool of local artists and musicians. Give them a little bit of love. Thank you to everybody who listened, all of our sponsors, our patrons. You guys are all the best. Peace out, everybody.
Thank you so much for having me, boys. Peace.
Hell yeah, later.
Goodbye.